Tet Offensive, 1968. Tet Guen Dian, or simply Tet, is the most important holiday celebrated within Vietnam. It is the celebration of the Lunar New Year as well as the arrival of the spring, both according to the Vietnamese calendar. During the Vietnam War, combat would cease for the celebrations between both the North and South Vietnamese forces. However, North Vietnamese General Vo Nguyen Giap would not honor this unspoken truce in 1968. Instead, Giap wanted to surprise attack the American and South Vietnamese forces during this celebration. It was also believed by North Vietnamese military leaders that this attack, if carried out successfully, would discombobulate South Vietnam. There was also a growing discontent between the Americans and South Vietnamese, and a successful North Vietnamese attack would perhaps drive the U.S. out of Vietnam altogether. The preparation for this attack would begin in late 1967, where North Vietnamese forces would assault American soldiers near the countries of Laos and Cambodia, both of which neighbor Vietnam. The most important of these attacks would occur at Khe Sanh in South Vietnam, right on the border with Laos. This attack would consist of large bombardments on positions of American soldiers. With this significant assault, the two men chiefly in charge of the United States military, President Lyndon Johnson and General William Westmoreland, understandably shifted their focus to Khe Sanh and were not aware of the over 70,000 North Vietnamese soldiers getting ready to surprise attack them. The Tet Offensive, as it is called, started on the 31st of January 1968 as North Vietnamese forces, in collaboration with Communist South Vietnamese Viet Cong forces, attacked anything of value to their enemies in South Vietnam. This included cities, important buildings, military bases and headquarters, and more. The Viet Cong were even able to enter the courtyard of the United States Embassy in Saigon, which was in southern South Vietnam. However, the courtyard is the furthest they'd get, as the U.S. forces were able to eliminate the threat. Even though the threat was eliminated, this near raid on the U.S. Embassy was still a huge deal and shocked many. Eventually, despite early success and surprise, the North Vietnamese and Viet Cong were not able to successfully repel the Americans and South Vietnamese. The North Vietnamese and Viet Cong would suffer heavy losses here. Despite these losses, the North Vietnamese and collaborating forces were able to remind the U.S. and their leaders that the end of the war was not near, and that they, along with South Vietnam, still had a long and difficult road ahead of them if they wanted to come out victorious in this conflict. As a result of this, the aforementioned U.S. General Westmoreland would send a request to bring over 200,000 more U.S. troops to Vietnam. This escalation of war was disliked by many anti-war protesters in the United States, who were already protesting the need for young men to fight and die in a foreign country. This increased U.S. presence would have an effect on the White House as well, as President Lyndon Johnson was being asked to remove troops from Vietnam. President Johnson listened to these asks as he minimized the bombing campaigns by the U.S. The United States forces would not be withdrawn from Vietnam until over 7 years after the Tet Offensive began, as the American soldiers were not taken out until 1975. The Tet Offensive saw U.S., South Vietnamese, and other allied forces suffer tens of thousands of casualties. However, the North Vietnamese and Viet Cong would see over 100,000 on their side. The Tet Offensive was a turning point in the war in Vietnam, as the North Vietnamese and their allies were able to successfully disorient the United States military and leadership despite their losses, and made the U.S. decide whether or not they wanted to keep sending more men to Vietnam or even continue supporting the war effort there. Thanks for watching.